The silver breakout that we talked about last week has happened. The silver rally has started. People are freaking out in a good way, in a bad way. You knew what to do ahead of time. I hope you took the advice. So therefore, congratulations on your profits. Now it's the questions. What are the levels? Where are we going? What is the real situation with silver now after this monster Monday? And we're going to take a look at several silver stocks. I believe that is where the real interesting opportunity is in. Let's get right into it. Great show today. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks, and month. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day. My name is Daniel Helmy, and if you look at me and say, oh, thank you for not wearing that ugly Knicks hat, that's probably what you say when you're from Boston or from Philadelphia, I gotta say, sorry, not sorry. There's gonna be a lot more where that came from once the conference finals start. But that is in the future. We're gonna look at today, at today's market, and that means we can only focus on one thing, and that is silver. Yes, I know in yesterday's video I told you there's a really interesting way how to play the copper rally. Has to wait. The silver breakout is significant. And if you watched last week's videos, you were well ahead of the curve. I told you then, adjust your strategy. Something is changing in silver if these levels break, if this happens, and all of it has happened. If you missed these videos, hit the subscribe button so that doesn't happen again. Because let's face it, this is not the end of the overall silver rally. That is just the beginning. Now we need to take a look at the charts. We need to take a look at the technicals. We need to take a look at sentiment. Man, there are a lot of things we need to take a look at. So, where do we stand with silver? Obviously, I told you last week, we break above the 50. Things start to improve with a break of the downtrend. That has happened. We break this yellow resistance zone. Then things really gonna turn positive for silver. We're not out of the woods yet, but it has improved significantly. Why has it improved? Well, we're above the 50, obviously. We broke the downtrend, obviously. Now we broke this yellow resistance zone. That is significant because that was from the high in December that after we broke it, triggered this monster short squeeze, crypto bro super leverage rally in January. But most importantly, everybody is seeing the change of trend now. Higher lows, higher highs in the short to medium term. Now, this is important. As positive as I was on silver and told you about the change of trend last week and said we got to adjust our strategy accordingly, I will now also be the guy and tell you, yes, short to midterm, things have improved significantly in silver. And interestingly enough, if you watched the video that I put out last Saturday, I told you silver looks a lot better than gold, and that's exactly what's happening in the market. Gold didn't move nearly as much as silver did. So this is a silver specific situation, in my opinion, because it's the short squeeze. And again, the market is starting to sniff out, wait a minute, with oil being at 100 and staying higher, and it's not going back down to $65 a barrel like a lot of so-called experts are claiming it would. The solar industry is going to have a big comeback around the world as countries realize, man, we need to be more independent of the international oil market. And that is obviously significant for silver. So, short to midterm, we look really good. What is the resistance zone? Well, you see it right here. It's the big yellow resistance zone on top, this area right here. And this is really the important part if we want to see a long-term change in trend. So right now, yes, we have made a 2-month high in silver on the close. As you can see, last higher close was basically this candle right here, and that was the 12th of May. So that is very bullish. But we have not made a medium high, medium to long-term high. That would be if we close higher than this green bar right here from the end of February. So that means we get a close confirmed about 94.50. That is when everybody all of a sudden starts, oh, wait a minute, silver's looking great. That's when they start to get in. That's when they start to talk about it in CNBC again. So obviously we want to be positioned right before that. But that is the next level we need to look at. So what could happen at the moment, what is still possible, is we get a push up to around 90 and then turn lower until still test the 200. That's still possible, right? A completion of this whole bottoming formation that started at the end of January will be happening if we close above 94.50 and confirm. But you do not, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I mean, I'm not your financial advisor, but I, the German guy, the Knicks fan, I mean, what does that tell you if I should be a financial advisor if I support the New York Knicks? You look at the last 25 years, how much fun did we have in life? Whew. But it's good times now. I don't want to wait to add or to build out my full silver positions and silver minor positions when silver is at $95. That's way too late. That's why I told you, change of strategy last week if we break and hold and confirm the break of the downtrend, the 50-day, and then this yellow resistance zone that I told you about right here. All of this has happened. So because we have a short to medium change of trend already, and we have the short squeeze that is just, I mean, absolutely putting on gigantic pressure on the shorts on Wall Street. I mean, I guess there's a thing called lost penis syndrome. Man, I'm pretty sure a lot of the shorts on Wall Street have lost their genitals in the past 24 hours and they are freaking out. So that means any weakness that we get is an opportunity for us now to add to our positions. Now, I don't want to build it out 100%, but I definitely want to increase it because now we have made the higher high. Things are looking better and better for silver. Again, we are not there yet. Do not listen. The same way I told you, don't listen to the doomsayers that tell you the world is coming to an end, the aliens are landing, the apocalypse is here, yeah, Armageddon is coming. Where's Bruce Willis? In January and February and March, when the market was falling, the same way I'm telling you, don't listen to the crazy silver videos that tell you we're going straight to 200, 250, 500 in silver. There's still a valid possibility that we're going to go back down to test the 200. Now, what has become a very, very low possibility now is we're going to test $50 a barrel, an ounce, which I thought was pretty unreasonable. Understandable to predict it when you look at the charts, but again, you cannot only look at the charts. You have to look at sentiment. You have to look at intermarket correlations. Highly unlikely that would have happened. That would have only happened if we had a real crash in the market. That did not happen. We have all-time highs, ladies and gentlemen, in the market. Is the market overheated with the semiconductors and the hardware stocks? Yes, of course it is. But again, will we get a crash after just making an all-time high? At some point we will. I know this. I know it's coming, but I think it's in the future. So For me, I want to add to silver stocks. And now I have to understand I'm not going to get $50 an ounce in silver and then the equivalent version in the mining stocks. That is highly unlikely. That is so unlikely that it is not worth speculating on. Again, I taught you this last week, and if you didn't watch the videos, I highly recommend you go back and watch the videos. Act like the smart money on Wall Street. The situation has changed. Adjust your strategy accordingly. So I will use short-term weakness to add to silver mining positions. Not 100%, because there's still downside risk. But I don't want to be the guy that didn't buy anything at 95, at 100, at 105. You know what happens then. We've seen it here, right? These are the guys that didn't use the change of trend, right? If we look at this, you saw this correction right here in the fall that happened. And then we get the breakout. And the people are not adjusting their strategy. And they're not adjusting their strategy. And it's going up. And then it's going sideways here. Well, now I'm not getting in the market. There's probably a correction coming. And then we're going up. And now they're like, well, I got to get in this market now. Like, I'm way too late. And they're starting to take risks. Then we have this wild swing right here at the beginning of January, end of December. Year end, obviously selling, buying, beginning of year buying. And they're not buying. And then silver breaks out. And now they're forced to buy with high leverage, super high risk, and they get the flamethrower to the face burned. Let's not be that guy. Let's be smarter than that guy. That guy, probably a 76er fan. Just kidding, Philadelphia. You got to take it with pride. Come on. So we want to adjust accordingly, which means, will we go down right now in this market back down to $70, $72 like we were in the beginning of May last week? Highly unlikely, because we got great support with the 50-day. We are above the 50-day confirmed. So I would love to wait until we get back down here, but it's highly unlikely. So actually, if I draw this in, we get another support right here. See this? So we actually also have this uptrend that's going to support us besides the 50. So now we have two support zones pretty much coming together in the same area around 76, 77. So it's a different market. It's a change of trend. I got to adjust accordingly, especially if I look at some of the big mining stocks. And that's what we're going to do now, because this is where things get really interesting. The fundamental situation, the technical situation, the fundamental situation is excellent, obviously, because the mining stocks are making money hand over fist. We're going to talk about that in tomorrow's video, but the charts have improved a lot. Let me run you through a couple of the blue chips. Hecla Mining. Boom. New 2-month high on the close. Regained the 50 yesterday with authority and about at the same time breaking above this resistance zone. Good chance we might doink off and hit back to the 50. But this is a good looking chart with a nice bottoming formation. The second leg already higher than the first leg, above the 200. Pan American Silver looks even better. Same thing. Broke the 50, broke the resistance zone. We're already above it. Second leg of the W formation already higher than the first one. This one looks really good. First Majestic Silver, same thing. Obviously, all the big blue chips kind of going to look the same, right? Because they are basically all in the ETFs, SIL, ETF, and so they're all going to get bought up. But I just want to show you something is changing in the mining stocks too. And this just happened in the last day or days. As you can see, First Majestic, as far back as last Thursday, doinked off the resistance zone, doinked off the 50. Would you have bought it right here with this big gap fill right here? I wouldn't. I could sit here and tell you, well, I'm so brilliant. I knew this is going to happen. No, I didn't. And You wouldn't have just looking at the chart if you block out the last two candles. But now things have changed. Now let's take a look at some smaller stocks that I find really interesting. As you can see, all the big ones look the same, right? They're about to complete a bottoming formation in a really ideal textbook way, but they're still way below the all-time highs. Well, Abra Silva isn't. That already made a new all-time high. This is one of the darlings. I told you about it about a year ago or even more so. And boy, was that one just a sweep, like the Knicks swept the 76ers. Full disclosure, I am long Abra Silva. Now, this one is getting a little long in the tooth. You can see the wicks here. It cannot sustain the intraday run-ups, right? It gets sold off, understandable. But I just want to show you the different developments in the silver miners. And if you only focus on the ETF, you're going to miss great opportunities. But here are three stocks that I found very interesting. From the bigger ones, Aya Gold and Silver. And if you followed this channel, you're familiar with this stock. I last talked about it when I was in Zurich a month ago, exactly a month ago. This was one of the hot stocks of the Mining Forum Europe. I told you about it. Pay close attention to Aya. I talked to the management there. Great company. I really would love to get in on this company and on this stock, but not at every price. However, I might be left out because this one looks even better. Remember how we're talking about the W formation with all the big blue chips in the gold silver sector? Because let's face it, all the big blue chips that are so-called silver blue chips are not really silver stocks anymore. They're silver gold stocks, or in a lot of cases, like Pan American Silver, for example, they're actually gold silver stocks. Well, Aya is really a pure silver play. It's a legit silver play. And what you see here is this is almost a V recovery. We didn't even have the W. This is like a tiny W. This is like a Smurf W. So you see that there's a separation. Some of the really good silver miners, smaller silver miners that have very, very high leverage to silver, like Abra Silver, like Aya. Aya is a producer. Abra is just an explorer. They look way better. So that's what you want to focus on. Let's talk about Santa Cruz Silver. Look at this great run-up, and full disclosure, I am long Santa Cruz. I did sell some shares in this rally. Didn't hit the super top. I think I sold them around like 18 to 20 or something like that. But that's what happens, right? You have to take some gains off the table. You have to pay yourself because otherwise none of this makes sense. We're not in the market just to have the money sit there. We want to use it to enjoy our lives. So big run-up, consolidation, but now this looks great. As you can see, W formation, second low already higher than the first one. 200 tested successful, broke the 50. We are about to break out of the consolidation that has been happening for a while. If silver breaks out, this one is a potential runner because Santa Cruz Silver, pretty high production costs. So they do really well when the silver price runs. Now, another favorite of mine, talked to them in Zurich as well. Full disclosure, I'm a shareholder of them. America's Gold and Silver. That is my favorite US-based silver stock. And this one looks great. Same situation, W formation, outstanding. Second low higher than the first one, above the 200, regained to 50. Breaking above the resistance zone. Again, as you can see, this one is already a step further than Santa Cruz. So we're going to get smaller setbacks in these type of silver stocks. I'm going to add to these positions because I cannot wait. I cannot expect us to go back down here with America's Gold and Silver down to $5.70. I would love that, right? Man, I'm kicking myself that I didn't pick some up here around in this area right here. But you never know what's going to happen More important is, the most important thing in a market is to adjust our strategy to what's happening instead of being stubborn and just waiting for some fantasy to happen, right? Ask all the NVIDIA shareholders or people that wanted to be shareholders that say, well, if NVIDIA comes back down 20, 30%, which they should because they've run up so hard, and they said that in 2023, and they said that in 2024, and they never bought, right? We don't want to make that mistake. So we adjust our strategy, and the strategy clearly shows us the silver mining stocks are breaking out. The situation has changed, and America Gold and Silver is a great example for this. We are above the 50 now. This is a different trend, and the one that we have seen in the past 2 months, right? When we were below it, we sold off. We doinked off it here, got a sell-off. Well, now we're above it. Things are changing. What is the last time we broke out? Right? We got back below it a little bit right here. But really, this is the one right here. I'm not saying the stock's going to have a run-up like this. Actually, long-term, I think it will. But short-term, obviously not. But we can make a lot of money with these silver mining stocks. So, adjust your strategy, which means we have to expect now, after we regained the 50-day in silver, we broke the downtrend and now made a new 2-month high, we have to expect that short-term pullbacks gonna be met by bull demand, by buying on the weekdays. So adjust your strategy. Don't be left out. Don't be that guy. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.